What's up, tech fan and world? Elric here once again on Tech of Tomorrow, taking a look at one of the most fun products I've ever played with in my life, and I'm serious. Out of all the toys I think I've had my whole life, even though this thing's a rather expensive toy, the X4 Fpv Drone to me is the absolute shit when it comes to total fun in a package. Now, this thing can be used from small children all the way up to adult children, which is what I am, an adult child pretty much, and it's just a hell of a lot of fun. Great controls, great controller, all kinds of cool stuff, all kinds of cool modes. But that said though, let's first take a trip to my front yard as we learn to use the X4 in the first couple of shots, and we had a little bit of fun right here, and that was okay. But what was really fun though is when we took this thing down to the park now. But before we jump on down to the park, let's check out the X4 and its controller up close. Now the version of the X4 that we got, you guys can see it's black and gold. It pretty much came all the way put together other than the propellers. It came with a tool to put those on, but after that, hey, she's pretty much up and ready to go. One thing different about it, and the reason I think they call it the FPV is the first person view, is the camera's mounted straight ahead. If you guys have seen other drones out there, a lot of those have a camera that points downwards, or they do modifications and do it that way. This one's not made that way at all, but it's actually really cool for like doing your own drone selfie. Now, one thing a little bit weird about the X4 is that it doesn't have an on-off switch. What it does have though is two blue connections. One is going to the drone, the other is going to the battery. You put those two together, close it up, and hey, she's up and ready to go. On the bottom, you can see there are 4 feet. These all light up individually in different colors. And when you're using the drone to do its balancing and all that different stuff, you'll see they light different colors in that process. Honestly, the drone kind of looks like an attack weapon out of some futuristic movie like, Terminator. Now the controller, it's actually one of the better ones that I've ever seen from the drones that I've had. I haven't had any $1,400 and $1,500 ones. I'm sure they have even more badass stuff, but the ones that I've seen, the few $100 range, were not this dynamic. Taking a look at the controller, you guys can see that first off, there are 2 antennas for controlling and operating the drone. Then we have 2 useless buttons. The T1 and the T2 buttons on this particular model do absolutely nothing, so we can completely ignore them. There are also 4 switches on top. The first of these switches is the A switch. Now this is called headless mode. This allows you to fly the drone wherever you want to go, whatever you want to do. It's pretty much open territory. Now next up is the GPS switch. What this does when you first start the drone, you turn the switch on and it locks in your location, making sure the drone knows exactly where you're at. Now in the center of all the switches is the screen for monitoring and knowing actually where you're going with the drone. I found it a bit hard to see in the daylight. They do give you a cover that kind of makes it a little bit better, but I think glasses for me is going to be the optimal way to control the drone. Next up, we have the home switch. What you do is obviously what it says. You switch this switch on, and no matter where your drone is, if you've done that GPS locator thing, the drone is going to come back to you. And this is actually a really, really excellent and awesome feature, I think, in my book. And then last up, we have selector switch B, and this is the follow me mode. And what it does, wherever the controller goes after you set this, it will follow you around like a puppy dog. The first joystick on the left-hand side is considered the elevator stick. This allows the drone to go up and down and turn right or left. And the right-hand joystick is for forward, left and right, and for tilt. Down below that, we see a button on the left that says exit and a button on the right that says enter. The button on the left is for taking a photo. The button on the right is for filming video. And then down below that, you see the on and off switch and then the various trim switches for when you're using your drone. So we finally got the X4 down to the park by the college, and you guys can see there's plenty of room out here for flying, and we had a lot of fun using this. Now, admittedly, this thing is pretty powerful, and you guys can see through all the pictures that the 1080 camera takes really nice, crisp pictures. Maybe not like the absolute best camera you can get out in the market, but definitely not a piece of junk either, because you guys can see everything looks really nice. Now, we had a lot of fun doing the different testing. I actually kind of right here, you guys can see what, they call this thing like buzzing the tower. Well, I buzzed my mom. You guys can see I went right by her head. She said she actually felt the drone like in her hair, so I came really close. So that was pretty crazy. We flew all around the park learning how to fly this thing today, and it was just a hell of a lot of fun. And this drone is crazy. We were able to take it way, and I do mean way the frack up into the sky and bring it all the way back down. And then crazily, I started playing with the drone. I felt like I was losing control because I got so far away I couldn't even see it, and we were like blocks away. And then we engaged the, hey, come on home button, and the drone came all the way back home and then landed on the ground right in front of us, which is just totally a cool feature. I mean, when you're out flying your drone and something that costs this amount of money, you don't want to lose it. You want to make sure that you have this thing with you at all times, and you don't want to, you don't want to lose it, period. It means something. I actually felt scared a couple times because when I couldn't see the drone, I started to freak out, but you was just like, hey man, just hit the home button. And admittedly, I was a little bit worried about that too, but you guys can see it comes home absolutely no problem whatsoever. One of the funniest parts of the day, though, I thought, is when Jesus was flying the drone by me, and I felt like I was going to have a little fight with the drone, so I started like throwing some kicks at the drone, some punches at the drone, even gave the drone the middle finger. That's right, I gave the drone the bird, baby. There were a lot of other people that were like inside of the park, so we kind of had to be a little bit conscientious about them. We even saw a cop pull into the parking lot. We were going to buzz him, but we thought, well, maybe he might not like that very much. Controlling the drone, admittedly at first, it's a little bit of a learning curve, but out of the ones that I've tried so far, I have to say the controls are pretty much intuitive. The only problem I can see is that if you can't see the control screen in the bright sun and it gets a long ways away, it does get a little bit confusing on trying to see exactly where the drone is going. So having that home button once again just becomes an awesome feature for the drone. Now, the follow me feature, we weren't really able to get that to work all that well. I don't know what was going on. Maybe it's just because just some fluke or something. I know it works because obviously everything else was working, but all the other features of it work. Coming home, the camera, taking pictures, and it's just a lot of fun. Although I'm not actually totally sure of how high or how far the X4 will go, we took it so far high into the sky that I couldn't see it anymore. And then once again, like I told you when I was getting nervous, we had taken the drone about 3 blocks away from us and we couldn't even see the drone anymore, and we were still able to get that drone back to us. So that in itself was something to say. Okay, so I don't even know where to frickin' start, man. But you guys can see, all I can say about the X4 FPV is that this thing is frackin' fun. Fun, 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 fun. And at the end of the day, honestly, I think that's what matters. Now, should a little kid who's 12 years old probably go out and have this thing without his parents? I don't know, because you might hit somebody's car, somebody's window, or do something accidentally that could cause damage to either your drone or to their vehicle. So I might suggest if you're a little bit younger, you might want to take your parents. Unless you're just one of those badass rebellious kids and you just want to have a hell of a lot of fun with nobody around, then fuck it, go for it. I would. But I mean, I value the products that I get, and the way I buy my products and value them is if I buy something and it's cool and it sits on a shelf, how much fun are you really getting out of that? This is honestly a lot of fun. Hours and hours of fun. The learning curve wasn't that hard. We had the drone up in the air for quite a long time. It was about 45 minutes, I think, that we were up in the air when the battery still hadn't died. By the way, it does take 8 batteries in the back. That's that. But, you know, like I said, they say it's only in the sky for about 20 minutes. We were at 45. X4 was still up and going. By that time, I had pretty much learned to fly the drone pretty much. Like I said, we flew it high into the sky. We flew it down the road, and it easily came back to us. And you know, losing your drone is pretty much like what I hear, the most thing that people worry about. So with the X4, you really don't have to worry about it. If you do everything correctly, set up your GPS, you know the X4 is coming right back and landing at your feet. And that's just badass. And let's just face it, being in the park, flying your drone around, chasing your mom, chasing the dog, you know, chasing people, Come on, it's fun. Like usual, we'll have a link down below the like button if you want to get one of these for yourself or check stuff out. And I'm sure we'll have some links in the next couple days for Black Friday deals so you can get this thing even cheaper. I'm Eller. You've been watching Tech of Tomorrow. Back to the park.